Hey guys, it's Ray Alvarez from Shoot with Ray, and in this video, we're going to be breaking down this entire branding photo shoot. So for those of you that don't know, I do branding and commercial photography whenever I'm not doing creative photography. So whenever you see me not playing around with those gels, you'll see me out there working with different businesses and different brands and creating images for them that are great for their social media, advertising, print material, or any promotional campaigns. And I thought this was going to be a perfect video for you guys, especially those of you who are either trying to transition to go from hobby photographer to full-time photographer, or if you've been doing it as a side job and you finally want to take that leap of faith into full-time photography. Keep in mind, this is a step-by-step video in terms of trying to show you how to get into full-time photography. This is simply just a breakdown of my branding photo shoot, so that way you guys can understand exactly where the light was placed, why the light was placed there, what kind of lighting I used, and the behind-the-scenes moments of this exact branding photo shoot. So real quick, before we actually get started with the video, I want you to drop in the comments below, how many lights do you think I actually used for this entire branding photo shoot? Was it 1? Was it 2? Was it 3? Was it 5? Let me know in the comments below. So quick backstory, Maribel and Christian are friends of mine, but they're also clients of mine, and they own a mobile flooring showroom where they showcase their different flooring styles that they can install in your home or your office. They've been needing a few new images and content for their website, for their social media, and also for print material and campaigns. I ended up visiting Maribel and Christian at their home office, which is where they also have a few great examples of what their mobile showroom looks like. They have a lot of different things that they can showcase to their potential clients and people who come visit them to learn more about their services and what they can offer their clientele. So for this specific branding shoot, it's going to be indoors and outdoors. We're going to be doing a little bit of it in their office, and then after that, we're going to do some exterior shots along with their vehicle that they also have branded and wrapped up. I own a lot of equipment, and prior to each photo shoot or each project, I'm getting all of the gear ready for it. So I always think about what I'm going to pack with me, what I'm going to bring with me to these photo shoots. So I always start off with the lighting. Do I need 1 or 2 or 3 lights? Let's say, for example, I just need 1 light. I always pack 2. 1 light as my main light, the secondary light just in case something changes and I need 2 lights, or the secondary light can serve as a backup just in case something happens to the first light. You really never know. But now let's say, for example, I need 2 lights. So in that case, I bring a third. So same concept. If I need 2 lights, I bring a third, just in case you need a rim light, a hair light, or any other extra light for some odd reason. The next question I ask myself is, what kind of modifiers do I need? It all depends on the project I'm working on. If I know that I'm going to be doing some outdoor work, I definitely try to bring a bigger softbox, such as the Rapid Box M or the Rapid Box Large, and that can vary in size. It could be a 36-inch softbox, it could be a 42 or a 48-inch softbox. I typically don't try to go larger than that. For my secondary light, it can be anything, honestly, especially if you're doing it outside. It can be another softbox, whether it be a 24, a 36, a 42, or a 48. But if I know that I'm going to be doing indoors as well, it also depends what the indoors looks like. So sometimes I kind of bring a 1x4 strip box, or again, I rock with a smaller softbox such as a 24 or 36-inch softbox. If you know that it's going to be a tight space and a lot of softboxes just don't fit, maybe your best chance would be to bounce your light. And that's exactly what I did for this first part of the photo shoot when we were indoors. The showroom / office was pretty small. It's just 2 desks with a chair, and there's not a whole lot of space to implement 2 lights, especially with soft boxes or strip boxes. I had a 200-watt light, which I used, and guess what? I bounced the light. The primary objective of this specific light was just to bounce it. There was so much natural light coming into this office. So in this office, there was only one way I can shoot. I can shoot in the direction of the desks. And the reason I say that was because it was nicely decorated. There was a nice chair there, some flowers, and the desks behind them. If we were to shoot the opposite way, it would have just been a blank wall. So you look for that decorative area, you look for that background, you pay attention to that and your foreground to see what looks the best. So what I decided to do with my light placement is set it right next to me. So that way the light source will splash back behind me. It was a white wall, so it was going to reflect really well. That light behind me was going to reflect right towards my subject in front of me. And it was going to give me this nice, soft, bounced light. In a situation like this, I would have you experiment with your light. So when you get there, you're all set up, ask your subject or ask someone who's with you, whether it be an assistant or even your client, hey, I'm going to do some test shots, and you test it out. So either you bounce it towards the ceiling or you bounce it right behind you. Whichever one you decide to go with, just experiment with it. And whichever one looks the best to you, that's the light method that you should go with for your project. So once again, just to reiterate, I used a 200-watt light, no modifiers, no nothing. All I did was bounce it behind me to reflect that light directly towards my subjects, which were right in front of me. I also decided that I wanted to bounce light and not use a modifier because I wanted it to look a little bit more bright, a little bit of bright and airy kind of. Just because the natural light that was coming in, like I said, it looked really well, and I just wanted to add a kiss of light. I didn't want it to be super dramatic, so that's exactly why I decided to bounce my light instead of using a light modifier. Whenever you're shooting branding portraits, you have to think about the business that you're shooting for. What is it that they do? What are props that they would be using? In this case, they had a measuring device. They also had a board that showcases the different kind of carpets that they can install. They also had a magazine that showcases the different kind of flooring that they also have available. So my goal was to capture that in imagery. My goal was to make sure that I had some good images, both horizontal and vertical, so that way they can post these on their social media or they can use them for advertisements. They can even use them on their website. The great thing about branding photo shoots is that photos can be versatile, so they have great use for pretty much anything. There were certain times that I changed the direction that I was shooting or the angles that I was shooting just to create a better image depending on exactly what they were using. For example, when Christian was using the measuring device, we had to face the left side of the wall. And believe it or not, the bouncing method that I had for my lighting worked perfectly. I didn't have to change the placement of my light. But keep that in mind, whenever you do decide to change the angle or the direction that you're shooting, take a test shot. See what it looks like behind the camera. If it looks good, leave it the way it is. If not, you have to change exactly where your light is placed, so that way the lighting looks good in your photos. Behind the scenes, it's always funny, right? Because whenever you have your clients posing for the exact images that you're looking for, there's a lot of role playing involved. So if they're holding the board and you want a picture of them looking at the board, you kind of have to tell them, hey, you need a role play. So you have them point at the carpet and then you capture some images. Then you have them look at each other like they're discussing the different options. Take that photo. Then you can have one of them kind of pointing at the floor and then look at each other in agreement. Or for example, when you have one of your subjects in front of a desk or something and you want them to look like they're typing, yeah, you actually have them type. Open up a blank document and just type away. It doesn't matter exactly what you're typing, just as long as you're typing something so it looks realistic in the photo. Try to shoot those images in different angles, maybe one from in front, maybe one from the side, sometimes overhead. Whenever it comes to photography like this, it's really what's happening in front of you. And I feel like a lot of the ideas come to mind exactly when you're working with your subject. And of course, I would highly recommend creating a treatment or an outline prior to your photo shoot. Discuss the expectations with your client. That way, both you, your assistant, and your clients are all prepared for the day of the photo shoot. There's nothing wrong with improvising, freestyling, or coming up with ideas on the fly on the day of your photo shoot, but it's best to be prepared. So now let's transition to the outside of this photo shoot. So of course, you know I was going to use off-camera flash. I love control of light. I'm well prepared as I have different light units for different times of the day. Say for example, I shot this at 1 p.m. where it's super bright. I have my Westcott FJ800 that it is a powerful unit specifically made for situations like this and lighting conditions like this. But I scheduled this photo shoot to be right around golden hour time, so that way we have nice soft lighting outside. It's not super harsh. No one's squinting in their photos. No one's tearing up. Nothing is overexposed, and I have full control of my lighting. So for those of you that commented earlier, guessing how many lights I used for this photo shoot, yes, it was just one light.
2 lights.
It was just one light for this photo shoot, but the modifier did change. I ended up using the same 200 watt strobe that I used outside as well. For the nice, tight, and up-close portraits, I ended up using the 24-inch Mag-Mod softbox. For the ones where I wanted to see more of the body, more of the vehicle, I ended up using the 42-inch Mag-Mod softbox. The reason for that is I wanted a softer spread of light. The bigger the softbox, the softer the light. You guys hear me say this in each and every single video. Now you might be wondering, why did I use the 200 watt strobe? Well, that's another reason why I decided to shoot around golden hour, because I don't need that much power. I was completely fine with 200 watts. If I have to shoot at full power, I could shoot at 1/2 or 1/1. I didn't really need the recycle time to be super fast. I wasn't shooting sports. I wasn't shooting dancers. This was a well-organized photo shoot, branding photos that we take our time with and shoot one at a time. I don't spray and pray. You guys know that. Whenever you're shooting outside, you have to remember that you're at the mercy of the sun. We're losing light quick. And although I did schedule this photo shoot so I have time to shoot outside, I want to make sure that I make the best of my time. And for that reason, I used the Cheetah Stand C12 because whenever I was moving from position to position outdoors, I can just pick up my light stand, move to the other position without a problem and without wasting time playing around with the screw to unloosen it and tighten it back up. I just pick it up, drop it off where I need it to be. That's probably my most favorite feature about the Cheetah Stand, is that you could just pick up and go. Now, it was kind of windy that day, and a lot of people question the different kind of stands that there are in the industry. The stand isn't really the problem. It's what you use to keep the stand still that matters. Do you have an assistant with you? Do you have any weights that you can apply to the bottom of the stand? Because no matter the stand, wind is wind and it will knock anything down, especially when you have a large softbox on the top, which can just be picked up by the wind and knock everything down for you. So it was kind of windy this day, but I was okay for the most part. I highly suggest having an assistant with you or just using some weights to hold everything down for you. Whenever I work with flash, I like to go for a flash, no flash look. And what that simply means is I just don't want it to be obvious that I use flash. I want it to blend. I want to make it seem like it was just ambient lighting all around. So there are times that I place my light stand in a specific way to feather the light to give me that soft look. There are times where you can set your light power to the lowest power available and it gives you nice soft lighting, but I want it even softer. So I go ahead and feather the light for a softer look. Although it was windy, although I used one light, everything worked out perfectly and we created some amazing branding photos. Their marketing person was going to receive some scroll stopping images and I was just really happy to provide my client with an amazing experience. If you have any questions on the gear I used, anything about this photo shoot, drop them down in the comments below. If you want to learn more about obtaining clients, branding, marketing, or any gear that I use, or how to use gear, or more about lighting, feel free to join my mentorship program and my mentorship community on School. The link for that is also below in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.